All right, welcome back Under the Rug. Another week, another show, and this week I am excited. I am elated because I have one of the smartest people in the Bahamas joining for the first time Under the Rug. She's called in before, but this is the first time being a guest on the show. Miss Erin Greene is joining us, along with the usual, the great Christina Marley and Thompson, Chrissy Love, who is somewhere in the world. And like I say, Chrissy, I ain't gonna tell them exactly where he is because then they can come look for me. And I want to. You on Arwaki? You getting come started again? Eh?
Yeah.
Because them police go there again.
Meet me out there. I got something for you.
But we have Chrissy Love and Erin Greene joining this week, and we want to explore something that I actually learned from Erin. As you all know, she does a lot of talk shows in the Bahamas, and I try to tune in as much as I can because she drops some knowledge every time she touches the mic. And I learned about this term called cognitive dissonance from Miss Greene, and I had to look it up because I was like, boy, I need to find out all about this thing. And when I did some research and looked up what it actually meant, it showed me it's the condition that all of us suffer from on a regular basis, and it's the foundation for a lot of the hypocrisy, the double standards, all of the nonsense, the corruption that you see in this country has to do with some form of cognitive dissonance. And you know what? I'm not going to explain what it is. Let me let the expert do it. So, Erin, if you don't mind, please explain exactly what cognitive dissonance is for the people that are tuned in.
So, cognitive dissonance is the state of having inconsistent or contradictory thoughts, beliefs, or attitudes, especially as relating to behavioral decisions and attitude changes.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Another definition, cognitive dissonance is the mental discomfort experienced by a person who simultaneously holds two or more contradictory beliefs, ideas, and values.
Mm-hmm.
And then Frantz Fanon, everybody should, when they get a moment, Google Frantz Fanon,
mm-hmm.
says that he wrote White Mask, Blackface, and a number of pivotal and important works on race, right?
Mm-hmm.
He said, sometimes people hold a core belief that is very strong. When they are presented with evidence that works against that belief, the new evidence cannot be accepted.
Boy, that sounds familiar. Chrissy, that's not like anybody you know?
Child, that's the nation.
Go ahead, Erin. Sorry.
No, man. It would create a feeling that is extremely uncomfortable called cognitive dissonance.
Mm-hmm.
And because it is so important to protect the core belief, they will rationalize, ignore, and even deny anything that doesn't fit in with that core belief.
That sounds so familiar. I could name so many groups of people that just lands home with. And we see it all the time, especially in our politics, with our politicians.
Party faithful.
With our pastors, our preachers, with Christian believers. So let's get down to it, right? Now, like I said, I had to do some research on this. And why...
Your friend Kirk Pratt gonna hate you. Because Kirk always talks
Why you hate me?
Kirk, you got Kirk. That's Kirk's platform, cognitive dissonance.
Oh, really? I had no idea.
Yeah, man. The Bahamas is in a cognitive dissonance spiral. That and false equivalencies. We like them.
Well, then, we'll see now, Chrissy. We may have to fight a little bit on that one because I think you apply the false equivalency term, the things that you just disagree with, even though it may not necessarily be a false equivalency.
Me?
Yeah, you. And you know me and you always fighting about that. Anytime you have something you don't agree with, you just slap that false equivalency term on it, something you can't defend.
And I think you comparing apples and dog natty.
No, hey, and you know what's so funny? That's a time when I think you experience a cognitive dissonance, and so you just have to rely to calling it a false equivalency to make yourself feel more comfortable.
Hey. In the words of Eddie Murphy, I disagree.
Well, that's fine. You can disagree. I tell people all the time, you can disagree. That don't mean you're right. But let's get down to it. And I wanted to focus especially on this foundation of Christianity that we have in the Bahamas. Because, you know, everything is Christian. Everything, you got to make sure hammer at home from the womb to the tomb. Make sure hammer at home. And I don't know, Erin, I don't know if you heard the shows, but I always talk about the experiences that I have in the Bahamas when it comes to my daughter and the struggle that I have with this indoctrination of Christianity that has continued to be hammered into her head, into schools. And to the point where I am getting into arguments with a 5-year-old over religion and Christianity. And so, listen, it's a struggle all the time to deal with it. But my thing is, I think it's a problem that we set this foundation because it sets a foundation of fantasy, right? And I don't want to, you know, be, you know, dismissive of someone's belief, but if we are honest, it's just a belief. But we throw it around and we teach it as though it's fact or as though it's science. Yes, like it's science, and that's what I have a problem with. And when you set a foundation of fantasy, how can you then grasp reality and move forward in life when your foundation is based off of fantasy? And what kills me is, and you know what I think is an oxymoron, is a Christian lawyer. I think that's oxymoronic. And you can call me crazy, right? But here's why. For someone whose profession is about facts, data, proof, evidence, and their search for these things, their search for evidence and answers, I find it interesting for you to be a Christian when your whole profession is based off of finding facts and evidence. Am I wrong for thinking that that's an oxymoron, Erin?
Well, but I think it's an oxymoron for different reasons.
Okay.
Law is about, at least in the courtroom, right? It's about persuasion.
And precedence.
That's the most important part. It's about persuading the jury or the judge that your perspective on the facts and the evidence and the things before them, right, that your perspective is the correct one and the other side's perspective is not the correct one. But I think it's oxymoronic because, like, the Christian is supposed to stand for truth, right?
Okay.
And stand on the side of truth. And so you have a client who you're supposed to defend whether he's telling the truth or not. And I think that's for that example, that's where
that is true.
Hypocrisy.
Yep.
That is true. Right? That is true. That is true. And see why I like to talk to smart people, because they give you different perspectives on things. You see, because I was looking at it from one way, and that's a whole other way that I didn't even consider.
Right,
but,
and I think
go ahead.
In the center of the conversation about cognitive dissonance in the church, right? Is like that there are some universal truths that no matter what direction you approach them from, right, whatever religion you approach them from, they are the same. Right, and so, like, the cognitive dissonance, if the thing is really real, if it's really real, no matter what perspective you come to it from, it's going to be the same and as real. You know, and so I think the issue in the church and, like, with the Bible is that some of those things in that book are not real, and we should know that.
Only some?
They're not. Only some. There are some points. There's some points of reference in history that are correct.
But how do we know? How do we know which ones are correct and which ones are incorrect, though, Erin? Because I mean, especially when you talk about a history that spanned over thousands of years, how do we know what is correct and what isn't?
Okay, so let's talk about it. There is no. I don't think there was a talking donkey. There ain't no talking donkey. But we know the flood story is a story copied from earlier history, right? Like, so we know that there was a great flood at some point in time because a multitude of origin stories tell us that. Did it happen in the way that the Bible said it? I don't think so. Right? But we know it wasn't a talking donkey.
Right.
Well, you know,
was not talking.
Some people would disagree with you. Some people believe in the talking donkey, the talking snake.
From Shrek.
Yeah, I wish it was from Shrek, but no, they believe in all of the talking stuff was like, you know, you got some people that believe wholeheartedly that, like, they take the Bible literally.
Yeah, the Bible is allegory, though. People mix that up. And like Erin talks about the whole story of the flood, the birth of the Messiah is also another story that you find in many other ancient scripts. So, religion, you have to separate religion and dogma and doctrine from doing the right thing. I think sometimes we don't do that.
Only sometimes?
Well, a lot of time, like the lawyer analogy, you know your client guilty as hell, and you say you supposed to be telling the truth, but if you tell the truth, your client can swing. Well, actually, no, you don't swing no more, because, man, I know hanging in years.
Well, that is true. But that's the thing.
Right.
Go ahead, Erin.
I was just going to say, and not giving your client the best defense is like antithetical, right? In that situation.
See, like Elisa Renee, and I hope she's being sarcastic, but she says, I believe, let me put the comment up on the screen here so Chrissy can see it.
Yes, because I never could see the comments.
Let me put it up. It says, I believe we came from Noah and his wife because everyone else died in the flood. And knowing Elisa, because she usually tunes in, I'm going to go ahead and assume that she's being sarcastic. Yeah,
being facetious.
Yes, very, very facetious. But you actually do have people that believe that. And this is why anytime, and Chrissy, I don't know if you remember, but I always use this example. I say, Chrissy, listen, if I come to you and I say, listen, Chrissy, I was on Cowpen Road the other day and the bush was on fire. It wasn't burning, mind you, but it was on fire. And then it started to talk to me. Chrissy would rush me to Sandlands to get a free case of Vitamol because there's no way that she is going to believe that happened to me. But for some reason, because something is in a book, people believe that it is true. What do you think leads to that, Erin?
Well, people are afraid of the unknown. Right? People are scared of the unknown. I mean, it boils down to that. People are scared of the unknown, right? They're scared of death. Our culture, I think our culture is very disrespectful to death, right? Like, we're scared of death. And so we, as children, we want to know. We don't want to be left alone. We don't want to die. And this story is so soothing and comforting, right?
Yep.
Like, if you believe, you can go to heaven. It's such a balm for the soul, right?
Right.
And I think people who don't know or who are afraid of not knowing, especially, will be less likely to challenge this experience, their Christian experience.
And that's where I believe, like, the Bible came from, to be honest. Like, it was because people couldn't explain things, they made things up. And it's
the Bible is allegory.
Yeah, like people. But people take it literally, though.
Well, a lot of people do believe it's the literal word of God, but you have to remember it was written and interpreted so many times. I think sometimes as Christians and people who are very much into religious dogma and belief, I think sometimes they separate their logical thinking. And I know people say, well, God is not intellectual. God is with your heart and your spiritual eyes. But you also have to apply sense. It's like if I'm 15 and I go to my mommy and say, Mommy, I'm pregnant and I'm a virgin and I can bring the Messiah into the world. My mother would slap the piss out you. But, people need something to believe in. I think that's what Erin was saying, too. We all, because of the unknown, we all need something to hold on to. And that's what religion is. Religion and Christianity in particular, it's that bomb that makes you feel that, something else is coming that's so much better. But what Christianity also does is absolves people from their bullshit.
Yep. Yeah. Well, gives them the illusion of absorbing them from it.
Well, I could sin and do it again, and sin and do it again, and sin and do it again, and.
You were going to say something, Erin?
Yes, thank you. As I said, I think it's important to remember that for Africans in the diaspora, we had the Bible beaten into us, right?
Yep.
And so, like, why do people cling to this? Because they don't know how to uncling from it. It was literally beaten into us. And parents would have taught children the Bible out there. The children would have been killed for not believing. Right? It's the same, it's the same thing with locks. It wasn't until the 40s that I think Dominica was the last country that repealed the law that you could shoot a dreadlock person on sight.
Oh, wait, that was a law?
Yeah.
What?
It's called dreadlocks for a reason.
What?
When you think about that and the attitudes that parents and societies had towards locks, parents were literally trying to beat the fear into you, because if you left the house and didn't come back, there's nothing they could do about it.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about this, Erin. Let me read this comment from Dito. He says, there are parts of the Bible that are historical, parts are allegorical, parts are poetry. We tend to lump the Bible as one book, where it's compilations of 66 books written in different literary styles. Do you agree with that?
66, Dito.
Yeah, man. And then does that include the books that we know aren't in there, right?
The Apocrypha.
James, right? And I'm sure Chrissy knows more than me, has a better...
No, I don't.
Right? But I remember the book of Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
Yep. The book of Adam and Eve and good and evil, and like the Maccabees and...
Oh, really?
There's so many books that are missing. Like what we hold in our hands today is a political tool. Right? Like we know the King James Version, we know at this point was a political tool. And I think that for many pastors and churches, they treat the book like a political tool. Right? And that is so problematic.
Yep.
Because they play in with people of faith.
Yep. I agree. And that's why I think, Chrissy, we do a show a couple of weeks ago about that, how important it is to separate that from actual policy.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Separate your religion and your beliefs from policy. Because especially when you live in a society that's a mix-up of a bunch of different people, that some may be Christian, most may be Christian, but you have some that are maybe Muslim, Buddhist, some like me are atheists, you have so many. And if you're going to talk about making laws just off of your belief, that is extremely problematic. And it's bad when I hear like today in the house, or was it yesterday, where the whole nonsense happened. But anyway, they reference
That's
it all
every
the time.
day.
Yeah, every day they reference it. Oh, I want to say God and thank God for this. It's like so much of Christianity and their belief comes into the house of assembly. Like
it's religious rhetoric, right?
Right. And how problematic do you find that to be?
Oh, I mean, listen, what happened in the house yesterday was like a travesty, right? Here's one of the biggest problems that manifested, one of the biggest issues. What should be clear to everyone is that we have an administration who, in the absence of sound, reasonable, or actual political strategy, naturally and instinctually rely or fall back on religious rhetoric. Right? Like, the only thing that group has in common, right, is a belief in religion as important, right? But belief in religion... Well, I would even say that because for some of them it's unconscious, right? But that they know that a good politician should believe in God, and it's that people know that they believe in God and God is the right way. Like that's the common ground between them. That's it. Yep.
And it's so bad. I say all the time. I had a conversation with somebody on the show. Actually, did he say it on the show? I think he did. I think he said it on the show. We did a show about it, and well, it wasn't on that topic, but I asked him. And I said, if I was to run for office, knowing that I am an atheist, would you vote for me? He said, I can't vote for you knowing you're an atheist. I say, even if all of my policies line up with, the policies that you want, everything lines up with what you want as a representative, just because I'm an atheist, you can't see yourself voting for me. And he said, no, he can't see himself voting for me. This is how bad it's come. It's like religion is paramount in this country. It comes above everything else.
And because that's what people know, that's all they know, right? Like that's all they're confident in, and that's all they're confident about, right? And so, like we get some massive self-esteem issues because we have people who know things, but they're not confident about it.
Right, I agree. And I think it's a lot more people that think like us that are much more open, but like you said, they're afraid. I think, and we spoke about this too, about religious bullies, like how people bully others into their beliefs. And some people just don't want that stress or that headache. You know, as human beings, we're not looking for no extra headache or no extra stress. So if I don't have to say nothing, then I'll just go by without saying anything. Even if I know what you're saying, I don't agree with it, I just wouldn't say anything to avoid that hassle. And we have a lot of people walking around doing that. They're not speaking up. They're not standing up because, you know, they don't want to go through the hassle, or they don't want to get, you know, berated or insulted by the religious sycophants.
Because that is psychological violence.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah.
But listen, you know, like I used to say, like, perhaps the best thing that could happen to this country is that we become a theocracy.
Oh, what?
Right?
Hold on, wait. Now what? Now you got to break this one down. I want to hear this.
A theocracy is where a religious doctrine leads the state, right? Like it's your governance is based on a religious doctrine.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we did that, they would never be able to get it together. Like the various religious groups and Christian denominations, they would never be able to get it together. It would be so difficult for them to find common ground in terms of developing policy. But what we get to see is the varying voices within the faith, right? Like we get to see, and people would get to see the scope of the perspectives and opinions of their fellow Christians and how varied and different that they are.
You think so, though? You honestly think that would be the case?
Well, there's also the potential that they'll just rely on the base, like the lowest common denominator, right? And they could just start executing infidels.
See,
God.
See, my thing is, I don't think we have real, well, what I would consider to be true Christians, like true practicing, studying Christians. I think the majority of the people that call themselves Christians are cultural Christians, meaning they don't necessarily practice it. They don't know it very well, but they do it just because it's, like you said earlier, it's all they know. It's the culture. And so they just go along and they identify as it just to get along. And they don't actually practice it. And I think most of the Christians are just cultural Christians, because if you were to test a lot of these people on a lot of the things in the Bible, a lot of them would probably get them wrong. Like most people probably don't know what the 10 Commandments are, as simple and basic as that is.
We don't study.
I agree, but see now, I think that there are a lot of Bahamians that can still repeat and regurgitate by rote, right? Like they know the Bible back and front, but they don't, like Chrissy said, they don't study it to understand it.
Well, I think they don't. I don't even think they know the Bible back and front. I think they know particular verses and passages and stories they know very well, like the ones that they agree with or identify with or were taught when they were in church. Those are the ones they know. But a lot of the things you would ask people about that are in the Bible, and they don't even know. And I hear people repeat all the time saying the Bible says, and they repeat things that aren't even in the Bible.
Like that's very valid, but I think it's important to acknowledge that that's not necessarily the entire experience. Like I think we have some people out there who, like you say, they're not studied. They don't have any certification or degrees in theology, but they are trying to be good people, right? Some people are trying to be good people. You know, a lot of guys. Like I met a lot of young guys who sort of, I would identify them as Judeo-Christian. Like they are pod Rasta and pod Christian. Right? Like they're trying to reject parts of the Christian faith, but they can't reject it, right? Because they're not really a Rasta, but they're parts of the Rastafarian movement that they really support. There's some interesting experiences out there, but I would say that, like Chrissy said, people are on the surface, man, right? Like they're not trying very hard, and I think like if everybody in this town gave 5% extra effort, like if everybody just gave 5% extra effort, that we would see a cultural shift almost instantly.
Okay, I mean, I don't know. Well, when you say extra effort, in which regards?
like emotional intelligence, like just thinking about things, thinking about their actions before they, thinking about what they're going to do before they act, thinking about what they're going to say before they speak. Right? If they just gave 5% more effort, whether, if you call that emotional intelligence, what you call that, or empathy, but just 5% more in trying to think about other people and how your actions impact other people.
And
I think the whole culture would shift.
Well, I agree. I agree to a large extent that would be the case. But and the funny thing is, that's what the Bible is, supposed to be based off of. At least that's what people refer to as the whole treating others as you would want them to treat you. But we don't see very much of that actually in practice. So I think if that's what you're actually trying to say, if they would actually practice at least that, if not any, that principle should be practiced. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
That's the hypocrisy, I guess, in the title. In the Christian practice here.
Interesting. Christina, let's get into how it affects us as a culture now, because I want to talk about how we are always so stuck on a lot of issues, especially when it comes to social issues. And we know the hot button topics, gender equality, which I know you're also passionate about, Erin, the whole marital rape discussion, when it comes to just treating everybody as equal, because we know what are the 3 H's again? Chrissy, inform us of the people that are most marginalized in our society.
The Black woman.
You know that ain't true. You know that ain't true now.
It's the truth.
No, I wouldn't.
That's the top.
I wouldn't say the top. I would say
Haitians. You want me to say
Thank
Haitians?
You. Go ahead. Carry on.
Homosexuals.
Heathens.
Heathens.
All right.
You don't believe in Jesus, you can get raggy.
All right. But I think the Haitians and homosexuals are on top of the heathens, because anytime there's a discussion about those topics, and you would know very well, Erin, because I know you've been in discussions about these things, and I think you're one of the bravest people in the Bahamas, knowing how people feel, about those issues. You continue to stand up and fight and speak out against it, which a lot of people don't do. And so, which is a quality that I admire of you, for being on the forefront and standing up for those things. But we know how people feel about these things. But I always say that the reason why they feel so strongly, and I don't know, someone is left to prove me wrong, but what I hear them cite is they often recite the Bible as the base for their disdain for these groups of people.
Bahamas need to stop.
What they need to stop, Chrissy? What they need to stop specifically?
You can't cherry pick from the Bible. I like how, being gay is such a big sin, but we forget all the other sins that are in the scripture as well. And Christianity isn't the only one who talks about these egregious sins against the Most High. Bahamians tend to be focused on the homosexuality issue, and I agree with you. I think Erin is so brave. Because, Bahamians, once they get something in their mind, that cognitive dissonance, no matter how much sense you present, they ain't letting go. They hold onto that like a pit bull on a bone. And so the thing is, people are going to believe what they want to believe, even if it's no basis in fact for what they believe. Especially if your mama taught you that, your daddy taught you that, the church tell you that, the school tell you that, the community tell you that. Like, remember there was a time, speaking of Haitians, there's a time when people thought that if you just be around Haitians, you would get AIDS?
Man, stop that, man.
And remember how the Punch today, in its story, talked about 6,000 Haitians coming to apply like Jean-Rony, Jean-Charles. So you're trying to scare everybody. That's that fear factor. That fear works.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And in fact, I think at the onset of the AIDS epidemic, the U.S. government listed Haitians as a category of people most likely to carry it, right?
Oh, really?
Stigma is real, man.
Wow. That's interesting.
That's why Trump's most recent statements about Haitians are so heinous.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
Yep. It's frightening what people believe, hey?
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like you said, the dangerous part is... as you just said, people don't need no facts. They don't need no real data. A belief is so powerful. And what's even scarier is we moving into an era where facts matter less and less. People don't care about facts no more these days.
It's about
all
opinions.
Yes, and whatever opinion you believe. And they just looking for something to confirm their belief. Confirmation bias. A lot of people have confirmation bias. They're only seeking out the information that agrees with what they believe already. People come into a conclusion before they have any information. And that's the dangerous thing that we do. I can't agree with that. We shouldn't be doing that. We should have the information first and then draw up a conclusion from information and the most information possible. But people don't care about that. Their comes first. Go ahead, Chrissy.
You talked about it with the Bible. Look how many times the Bible has been cherry picked. You mentioned us being beaten in submission with the Bible. Okay? The Bible has been cherry picked to justify all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
And so the thing is, you could always find an argument. And because we're such sheeple, basically, you can always find an argument to justify whatever agenda you want to push.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that scene in Django where the slave is getting beaten and the scriptures are pinned to his chest? The overseer who's whipping the slave? And he quoting the scripture as he tearing up that ass.
Mm.
So, the thing is, people's minds are delicate.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I always say, we say we hate slavery so much, right? But that's what we say. Every time slavery come up, that's a touchy subject for people. But we say we hate slavery. Like that. But two of the things we got from slavery we cherish the most. And that's beating people to control them. In Christianity, because the flack I get anytime I talk about not beating your children. You know how the people has come for me, right?
Well, child.
They has come for me all the time.
Spare the rod and spoil the child.
All that nonsense.
So listen, that's the cognitive dissonance right there, right? Mm-hmm. Because they cannot acknowledge that maybe they are not good people. Right? I get beaten all my life and I turn out good, ain't nothing wrong with me. They cannot acknowledge, that first of all, there's nothing wrong with having something wrong with you.
Right. Right.
And B, something wrong with you, buddy, and it's directly linked to the beatings you got.
Yes, and they refuse to do that. And like you say, that's because of that cognitive dissonance, because they know deep down, right? Beating somebody is wrong, right? But they were beaten.
And where we learn how to beat people, where that come from?
From your parents. No, you mean the slaves? You mean to go back to the slave master?
Saying beating that was wrong in slavery is good to cut your cheering ass.
Exactly, and like you said, that's the cognitive dissonance right there. So, because the beating is wrong, but like Erin said, in your heart you are a good person. Grammy is a good person. Mommy is a good person. Daddy is a good person. So they have these conflicting ideas, and so in order to make themselves feel better or comfortable, they have to say, look, I turned out all right. Or they have to come up with whatever ridiculous excuses they make or justifications they make to make themselves feel comfortable with that cognitive dissonance that they feel in that moment. And it's so
all right.
Say again?
But like Erin said, they ain't turning all right. I want to quote one of our good friends in the Bahamas. Greg, you know Salacious Palacious.
Yes.
I always tell the story about Salacious Palacious's mother telling my mother when my mommy say, "Oh, Jimmy turned out so good. How he's so good." Low and beaten. Now, if we'd have known, like 20 years later, Jimmy would have talked the bullshit. He talk about women dressing up and getting whole up at Junkanoo. We would think differently about Jimmy. So obviously, beating don't work because you still is end up talking shit.
Mm-hmm.
And like I know people who they got beaten with frying pans and hoses in the yard and hangers. Right? Like, how could that be a good thing? But
go ahead, Erin. Sorry.
We have to remember. I can say, I'm in this place where, we're trying to acknowledge the inherent goodness in everyone, right? Mm-hmm. But, we got to remember the cognitive dissonance is also the dissonance with the family members, right? Like, how can I love you? How can I acknowledge you love me if you beating me with this hose?
Yeah.
Throwing hot water on cold water on.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. That's why when you're spitting, mama, them and sure is wonder why. But
that's people. Go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say that that these people are damaged, right? And like we have to, as opposed to vilifying them, we got to figure out how to repair the damage.
Yeah, but and that's such. And the thing is, the problem with that is it's so widespread. Like to repair that, like I always feel like yes, in many generations, and it's something that Bahamians, and not just Bahamians, but Black people on the whole, tend to hold so near and dear to their heart. Like the amount of passion that they hold for that issue and to fight to keep it, it is mind-boggling to me. And I don't even know how to explain like the level of just the desire to keep it in place. I don't get it.
Yep. And Black people in particular, I don't understand it.
Yes, Black people especially, and it's like you get attacked. You literally get attacked for not beating your children, and that tells you all you need to know about our society. when you get attacked.
Listen, Uncle has said it a number of times on Chrissy's show, right? Like, if we were in slavery for like 300, 400 years, we need 300, 400 years just to get back to zero.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right? Like,
that's true.
That's not what we're doing right now. We haven't been in the process of repairing. We just been in the process of moving forward, right? Trying to catch up. And I think this is what's playing into people being able to maintain in this cognitive dissonance, right? Or that this state where we perpetuate in this cognitive dissonance because people are trying to catch up with the world when really we should be stopping and focusing on repairing ourselves.
And you're absolutely right. But you know what the problem with that is they don't think that something is wrong and needs to be repaired. Like we think we just that's the major, because the first step is to admitting that you have a problem in the first place.
That's
but we know that we don't think we have a problem. It's been so accepted as, and it's like, I think that's that mechanism where we, as human beings, in order to survive, we learn to just cope and to just deal with our circumstances, and to the point to where it's become normal. It's become the norm now. So we don't see nothing wrong with it. Go ahead.
But also, right, like we can't expect Black people to just fall down and die, right? Like we can't expect people to just say, well, I am at the beginning and I just need to fall. Like it's also a part of that survival mechanism, right? Like we have to see ourselves as whole and as equal, right? And push forward. But we have to see, like, people like the advocates are supposed to be preparing and creating environments where people could do both, right? Where it's more likely or it's easier to do both, to keep pushing forward, but also the space to stop and repair, right? That's what that's a part of the advocate's role in society.
All right, now I have some the controversial issues that I think at least some controversial policies that I know Bahamians won't agree with, but these are the things that I feel would get us on the path to repairing these deep-rooted issues that we have. And shoot, Chrissy may even disagree with some of these, because and I know what I don't understand with Chrissy, right? And as we could see with her, you put on your thingam earrings today. I almost thought that was just a straight cross there. What kind of explain to the people what kind of cross that is you got in your ears right there?
It's called an ankh. It's the first cross.
What is the first cross? Yeah, I don't know much about that. Explain that one to me.
Well, again, before Christianity in ancient Tamaray, which call Egypt now, we had all this knowledge and religious belief and spiritual belief, and the ankh was the first cross that signified the male and the female coming together, which creates life. Of course, Christianity has now taken that cross as Jesus was, crucified on Calvary. But this is my ankh earring. I mean, I just love the shape of the ankh. Jews got the star, David. Black folk got the ankh.
Well, that is a nice earrings, by the way. Those are
Thank you.
But
dollar, America.
Dollar. Listen, I tired of you bragging about these prices in America. Get
dollar. Ice American now.
And that's the issue that I bring up with you as well. The whole cross thing, right? Like, if my child was shot, I'm not gonna wear a chain with a gun on it, right? Why do Christians honor this cross? so much. You know? This was the tool used to nail up the savior that y'all look forward to and y'all want to walk around with it all the time. I never understood that.
It's programming. It's programming, right? Like Chrissy said, the original cross signifies life, the coming together of male and female, right? And life. And so those people that decided that they would write a quote unquote Christian Bible, use it as a political tool, right? Like they took the most powerful imagery they could, and then they juxtaposed it on the Christ image that they wanted you to follow, right? So like that's what Christianity has done as a political strategy. When they move in, like when the Romans move in, when the people that move into your space, they see what you're doing and they figure out how to incorporate that into what they want you to do.
Yeah.
Right? So Easter is a pagan festival. The people is always celebrating at that time. So they just juxtapose the story onto celebrations.
Christmas too.
Right? And similar Christmas and similar celebrations and important times, right? Like it's a tool.
It's all upcoming holiday, Valentine's Day.
That's a holiday. That's your holiday. You in the States? That ain't no holiday.
They need to go back to the original plan where they used to beat the virgins and unmarried women in the road. Y'all Bahamas like beat people.
Ooh, boy, look here. Listen, if you know we ain't a Christian nation. From that this the #1 sweetheart nation in the world, and you know how the Bible feel about infidelity. But we choose everybody.
You know how about infidelity.
But but the New Testament is part of the Bible, eh?
No, but listen, let's make the distinction. Like, I don't even think we're a Christian nation. We're a Judeo-Christian nation. Because sweethearting is an Old Testament wife.
Solomon.
Well, okay. Well,
they're Bahamians. It's concubine, not concubine.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't think we is none of them. I think we just we's a hypocritical nation and we's a church nation. I know we is that for sure. We ain't none of them things. Nothing with Christian. But then again, like I said, Chrissy, I mean, it depends on which part of the Bible you're looking at. We could very well be a Christian nation for true, because a lot of people
listen, we're a searching nation, right?
What we searching for?
Ourselves. We're searching for ourselves, right? And so when I talk imperialism at the top of the show, right? We're searching for ourselves. We're searching for anything to help us define who we are. And in the Bahamian context, we keep letting external cultures and external forces provide us with that media, that data, that information, right? Like, that's why I'm saying it's up to us to fill Flow and ITV and all of these stations with programming ourselves and what we think is important, right, to define us, and for young people to know when they decide how they can define themselves. And the overabundance of global North media, right, has created the ontological American Bahamian. That's why, like when them start selling all them African movies, I'm so happy. I was just like, just let them watch the images of themselves, no matter what foolishness they doing. Let's just start. Because eventually, after being inundated with images of themselves, they're going to have a desire to see themselves doing better and doing different things.
But they got to fix, they fixed the audio on them African movie yet? Because I ain't gonna lie, every time I saw someone watching one of them African movie, like the audio get distorted on certain part, like when they shouting, like the audio was always an issue. They fixed them yet?
I don't know. But I do
Nigeria would.
Popular Nigerian movie makers is making movies on 200 budget.
Well, I respect them for their consistency. You know what I mean? They consistently put out content, and we could take a page out of their book when it comes to that. But we just want to consume. We ain't into producing, unfortunately, in this country. But now let me go ahead.
Well, because like okay, you see me, we had a video player in my house from I was 5, right? Like the first video I could remember watching is the Perry Como Ministry of Tourism promotional video, right? Like I've been I've been watching TV and satellite. I used to high quality production also, right? Like that's my experience.
Right.
So when we graduate from ZNS, I was never going back.
I don't blame you. I wasn't going back.
So we have to find that balance, right? We have to be prepared to value what we can create and commit to creating what we can value, what we value, right? So we got to watch the bad movies until we realize we have to commit to making them better.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah,
most definitely. Let me run down some of my foundational policy proposals to see what you all think about these and see if it will help us to get on the path of getting out of this whole rut that we in, where we just running around playing in the dirt and insulting each other in Parliament every session and not really getting anything done for the benefit of the people. Now, as you know, and as I mentioned before, two of my most passionate issues, and most of my things involve children, because I ain't gonna lie, a lot of y'all old people, y'all ain't changing, y'all ain't trying to change nothing, and you finish. So my focus, now I ain't to say that you can't change. Now some may be open-minded and willing to, but I'm just being honest from the discourse, and when I hear people and talk to people, for the most part, a lot of people set in their ways and needing to change. And so the focus is rewriting our future, our history, and changing our future. So let's deal with the children so we can raise them the right way so that they can then, continue it. The whole beating children issue. That's my number one issue. That's my passion issue. I'll fight to that till the day I die. I may lose, and I probably will lose, but at the end of the day, I go down fighting, and that's what my whole battle. I think us beating up on our children and establishing this foundation of violence and these self-esteem issues that we do when we beat our children, we curse them out, we tell them they ain't nothing, you just like good pa, and all of these things we do to our children. I think we set the foundation wrong from then. And what kills me is we wonder why we have such a violent society. Why you think it's so violent when you raise them with violence? You raise them with violence, and then you expect for them to be civil? I mean, come on. That's why you see people walking around so frustrated all the time. They won't fight because they've been getting beat most of their life and couldn't do anything about it. And so they lash out when they get older. And this is why you see all of this, they step on your shoe, or you see when you're driving in traffic, they blowing their horn, cursing people out over foolishness, angry, just pent up frustration. And I think that's what leads to it. It's like I was on a show a couple months ago, and a caller called, of course, in opposition of my views when it comes to beating children. And I asked him a question. I say, okay, sir, if you wanted to train your child for the NBA, would you work on hockey with them their whole life? Right? And he was like, no. So I was like, so that's the same thing you're doing when you beat your child their whole life and then send them out into society where they cannot be violent. It's the same thing. You training them that beating is right, beating is right, beating is right. This is how you handle situations. And then you send them into society where they would get locked up for that.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
It's confusing.
Yes, it is. Very confusing. And I don't understand why people fight for it. But then again, like you said, that's that cognitive dissonance. They know it's bad to beat, but they know good people in their eyes have done it to them. So, they have to justify it in some way, shape, or form to make it all right, or to get rid of that discomfort from those conflicting beliefs. So how y'all feel about getting rid of, I want to make it illegal to beat children. You could, I figure out the penalties yet. I don't want to say jail time, but there's some punishment for you if you beat your children. How you all feel about that?
There's punishment already if you beat your children excessively. It's called abuse.
No.
You mean just regular bang and cut off?
Where have you seen someone punished for that?
Yeah, people are punished for abusing their children.
I never heard about it. When it comes to, okay, let's look at it like this. For the amount of people in the Bahamas that beat their children, that we know cutting hip straight through, and the amount of people that
hip to the detriment,
cutting hip, all cut hip is to the detriment. You cannot convince me. You cannot convince me that any amount of cut hip is acceptable for a child. I'm open, but I doubt that you will be able to convince me that there's an acceptable level of cut hip for a child.
Well, no, there's no acceptable level, and I think that there should be rules, right? Like parents need to acknowledge that if a child has done something so heinous that you think half killing them is appropriate, then somebody need to half kill you, because you are the person. You were the person that raised a being.
I agree.
That thought it was okay to do that, or couldn't control themselves.
Look at this, Erin.
Right?
Let me ask you this, Erin. Sorry to cut you off, but I want you to address this comment right quick. And this is what I'm faced with often, right? And this is where this is why I say take it out completely, Chrissy. Here's this comment. Dito says, "How can no, that's the wrong one. Sorry. There's a difference between a cut hip and abuse." What you feel about that, Erin?
Define it.
The fact that you use the word cut hip suggests that it's abusive.
Thank you.
Like that's the cognitive dissonance.
Yes.
That we have not nostalgia, nostalgia-ized something, but that we've turned it into something that it isn't. The fact that we used to use cut hip to signify abuse.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but now
we're saying it's different from abuse.
Yes, but you see the irony. Like the people don't even realize what they are saying anymore. Like they don't know about it. It's so natural that you could type. There's a difference between cut hip and abuse. That's scary.
Yeah. That's how we're taught, though. That's how we're taught. And the thing is, remember, a lot of people who beating their children to a pulp, taking out. Like I remember my parents, right? I used to be like, "So you beating me because you angry? Why you angry?" I used to try to reverse that shit on them. Why you angry? Why you mad?
Mm-hmm.
And so you rather beat me. Like even when I know the times, I think I've spanked my son like twice. And I always try to I don't like to spank or discipline when I'm angry. Because that's what most people are doing when they beat their children. They working out their frustrations.
But you realize, you realize that that's the only time that you would spank?
No, not really. There are times to discipline.
No,
like
if
when your child draws on the wall, you spank their hand and say, "Don't draw on the wall."
No. What I mean is the only time you really will beat your child is when you get angry. If you're really calm, you wouldn't have the desire to beat your child.
No,
that always comes from anger and frustration.
I know. Okay, well, being around light-skinned folk, they have a talk with their children. Like my college roommate. I remember when her mother tried to bust her ass at 18. She's like, "Now, Lisa, why did you do that?" Okay.
Hold on. Her child tried to...
Yes, you heard me, 18. Child, I get please. I get beaten at 21. Greg, you ain't get beaten when you was old?
No.
Okay,
I think it stopped when I was
Erin,
about...
he never beat you when you was grown?
No. I got two beatings as a preteen, and my dad explained to me exactly why I got the beatings, and it made absolute sense to me at the time, right? Like it just made absolute sense. Like I got it. I wasn't that mad anymore. I was just like, well, when you put it that way.
Wow.
Right?
Oh, you was mature from a long time.
But here's why I'm inclined to agree with you, Greg, about the ban. Here's why. Because children are vulnerable beings.
Yes.
They have rights, and they have a right to a life free of violence.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And we have mechanisms like, right, we got a social security net, but we have mechanisms that are supposed to be able to catch, right, when an instance when a child is being abused in a home. Like teachers are supposed to see the evidence, whether it's physical or psychological or emotional, and act on it, right? But what we know is these mechanisms aren't working. And we know that some children are far more vulnerable to child abuse than others, right? And so, because these children are fully born with dignity, inherent dignity and inherent divinity, and have rights, we need to ban beating children. Because it's one thing for parents to say, well, I apply a heavy defense and I feel it's absolutely necessary and I think about it, right? Like I take it seriously, but far too many parents don't. And far too many people don't have the psychological and emotional capacity at this time to control themselves. And in some instances, they are literally killing children.
They do.
And in many other instances, they are retarding and stunting their growth so much that it's like they have killed them.
Yep, and they don't understand the psychological damage. See, they look at these things on the outside, but they don't really take into consideration the psychological damage that it does to these children.
Yeah, and that's why they grow up hating their parents.
Yep, and I want to get to the next
boys, young
but I want to address.
No,
go ahead. Sorry, Chrissy.
No, go ahead.
If parents put in the hard work at the beginning, like they say, in the first 1,000 plus days, you train your child's palate and their stomach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if parents put in the hard work at the beginning,
mm-hmm.
then they're going to raise reasonable human beings
yes.
that find it easier to make it through the world.
Yes, and and that's what I don't think we take into consideration, that we are we raising human beings to be able to not just exist or survive, but to thrive in the world. We don't do that.
And to take care of other humans.
Yes, to take care of each other. We don't see that as the focus. It's we raise our children. And I told Keisha this the other day. I drove past a primary school, right? And I hate to see this every time I see it. A lot of these schools I drive by, and you have the person that's in authority with this long cane in their hand, right? So I drove past the primary school. They on the basketball court, I guess doing PE. And the PE teacher got this stick in the hand, and the children just obeying and running or doing whatever he told them to do. And you know what popped into my head? It's like a circus. This is exactly what I see at the circus when they training the animals to perform. It's the same thing. You crack the whip, the stick, the whatever, and you get them to do what you want them to do. It's the same thing. But this is how we raise children. We raise them like animals.
Well, luckily, Greg, there's more of us who would have, because I remember growing up in Catholic school, the ruler terrified my ass. And so the thing is, we see this in many of our institutions, this training of children, like you said, like animals. No respect for, like Erin said, children are persons with their own lives, their own souls, their own spirits. But in our hurt of childhood, we try to crush that same spirit in our children. Because we was treated like shit as children. Now, there's a lot of us who are awakened to the fact that we're going to do opposite to what was happened to us. But that's that hurt, that lingering generational hurt. Okay? But you have women like, how could you, like I always say, the show that I had with a person, you know, kill a child and wrap it up in a blanket and pretend that nothing was wrong. You know, how do you do that?
But she have to have some kind of psychological issue.
Yeah, there's a mental issue.
She have to have a mental issue. You can't be, I don't see you being a normal human being with normal brain functions and be able to do that. I mean, it could be, but boy, that's deep. Yeah, something had to go wrong. But I want to address a lot of these comments. I want to give some people some cognitive dissonance right now, right? Let's run through a couple of these comments and I can address them, right?
I see them of them.
Yeah, these people is killing me, boy. I ain't gonna lie. All right, so that's the one. Say there's a vein. Where's the one I wanted to look for? And this is an important point by Gerard. Says many people think that discipline is beating, and that is incorrect. And I hate them.
People think that though.
Yes, and they like to use the word discipline and beat as though they're the same thing, and I hate when they do that. That upsets me all the time. But that's so many people do it. But again, that's when go ahead, Erin.
I will say this: like we got to remember the biology of it, right? Like we know that mothers pass on experience, right? We pass on memories. I say not we because I'm not a mother yet, but mothers pass on memories, right? In the DNA, True. We passing on experiences in the DNA, which is why it's so important for us as Africans in the diaspora to take time to heal. We literally passing on the trauma genetically, and then we doubling down sometimes, some of us, with the trauma because we don't know how to deal with the trauma that we don't even know is inside us, right? But that a lot of these people are victims who have never been treated as victims and process their experiences, right? So right. We get a lot of people with those experiences, and then couple that with mental health issues, right? Like we have a lot of people who are just not getting the support they need in society.
Agreed.
And so I get mad at the people who don't support their parents, these parents, when they could see that these parents need support because they have killing the children.
Yeah. But it's so hard. Like, it's so hard. Like, I see all the time, like, for example, like I witnessed, and I told this story before as well. I was in the food store, and I had to been a 1 year old, 2 years old the most, in the trolley with the groceries, right? So if you have a child in the trolley, what do you think they could do with the groceries? They, start moving them around and tossing them around. And obviously frustrated mother was like, start spanking the child and like, you trying to test me today. I'm like, what? The child is one day just learning how to use their extremities and their hands. They see these things they never see before. They just moving them around. They just being a child, and you spiking them and talking about they testing you. So yes, I agree, Erin. We have a lot of people who don't know, but it's so difficult. How do you go about and help that person? Like, how do you intervene in that situation when so many people tend to get defensive when you try to intervene? That's what I think.
Back to before you have children. We don't have the conversation about how you have children, how you bring children into the world. See, we wait until the poor souls are here, and mama's so frustrated and upset with her life and what she went through as a child. So, of course, she can take it out on the child. The Bahamas has never had a real conversation on family planning and sexual responsibility. Because, unfortunately, those people who led us into nationhood felt that it was a conversation that was genocidal. I don't know how it got all the way over there. So we've never had a conversation on sexual responsibility and family planning. So these frustrations that people have, like Erin talks about, those scars that the mothers carry, the thing is, we are so hurt on our insides that we take it out on other people. You see, you have people who remember that one mother who like burned her child. And we have many, I guess, because looking at social services and hearing the cases, the things that we do to our children, it's frightening. Yeah. Because that's their own pain, their own issue. So we got to have the conversation before the embryo is formed is when we have to start the discussion. And we don't do that. We wait until the situation presents itself and then we go, oh, how do we unfuck that situation? So that's a tough one.
The best way to do it is to talk with teens. Right? Like talk, because they're right at that place when they having these experiences still, and they have the potential to make babies.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Catch them right there.
Well, we have a problem with talking about sex for some reason in this country. Like
sex is
like our conversation with them is don't do it or I can kill you. You better keep your leg closed. Don't think about it.
Be a doggy.
Yeah, you know what I mean? That's the extent of our conversations.
Oh yeah. Like, okay, I can say all of this still goes back to slavery, right? Because we didn't talk about it then. We didn't own our own bodies. We had no control over them, right? And this biblical model that we're using to teach people about themselves suggests that you don't own your own body. You don't make decisions about how you identify, how you define yourself. You don't make decisions about how you use your body, what you put on it, right? Other people control your body.
Well, let me get to go ahead, sorry.
Well, I was going to say, when dealing, how to deal with parents in those situations.
Oh, yes.
The first thing is to try and not embarrass the parent, because more than likely they, if not in that moment, in private, they can project that back on the child again.
Yeah, that's true.
We were in a store, and I know the woman didn't know that we saw her because we had to pause to get into the aisle. And she put the bottle on the shelf, and she didn't put it properly, and it fell. Right? And like when we came in and she saw us, because she left it on the ground. And when we came in and she saw us, and I picked it up and put it back on the shelf, she turned and chastised the child for dropping it.
Wow.
She don't know we saw her do it.
Wow.
And I realized that the thing in that moment was not to embarrass her, because she was already projecting it on the child.
People need therapy, man. They need therapy.
Children so touchy, and they'll do it. It's no problem. It's no, we just try to let her know, like we saw it, but not to embarrass her.
How do you do that?
Yeah, but how do you do it? Yeah, that's a good question. Like, what exactly do you do?
you got to practice it. And to practice it, you got to commit to wanting to be able to help people and wanting to be able to not handle people roughly, right? Like you got to decide, I want to help people be better, and then you practice it.
Boy, that's something I have to try work, because boy, I experience it so much, but I don't know how to. People get so defensive so quickly; they turn on you when you just really trying to. Just not only help the child, but like you say, help them. So
they turn on you. They try to attack you.
Yeah, they do. They don't try. They do. That's what they do. They attack you. You know what I mean? That's the difficulty, and that's a struggle for me.
But for the sake of the children, I think at some point we have to, at the very least, let people know that people are watching.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, people see you.
Okay,
and that's. Yeah, sorry, go on.
No. I just wanted to, I wanted to get in the last thing that I wanted to do, but I'm going to do it quickly because we done overtime. We done gone past the hour. But and the last one was, like I mentioned earlier, was the whole indoctrination of young kids in schools. I think us laying down this foundation of Christianity as the truth, the way, the light with children is leading to so many issues that we experience, because, like you say, it's confusing, and it's a warped sense of reality. Is giving them a warped sense of reality and a warped sense of being. Now, I'm not saying that we need to just get rid of religion completely, but I'm saying either you teach all or you teach none. I don't think there should be this whole just imposing this dogma on people as this is the truth and this is what you must believe, this is what it is. That is the problem. Now, if you want to say, well, we want to teach people about religion so that when they get into life, because let's be real, religion is a huge part of society, not just ours, but globally. And if we're going to prepare our citizens to be global citizens, they're going to have to know about religion. So we teach them about the different kinds of religions, and we teach it just to know, like, listen, there are parts of the world where people believe this thing, people believe this thing, here we believe this thing, and you're going to run into these people. And, you know, the important thing is to be respectful of those people, not insult them, but just understand that this is what they believe and operate accordingly. Like, you know, this is what you believe, and that's fine, and that's okay. Everyone has the right to believe what they want. But I think the way we are doing it is completely wrong. And like I said, it's leading to me having conflicts with my little 5-year-old daughter who is trying to convert me to Christianity at the age of 5. Like that is a problem that we're doing. So my policy would be that you will not be allowed to impose your belief onto students as something that's mandatory, that you force it on them. You know what I mean? And religious studies should be just that, the study of religion, and not just Christianity, but all religions. And that's what I would want.
Well, listen, I think you hit some things right on the head. We have a problem with a lack of professionalism, right? Where teachers cannot separate their personal belief from their curriculum, right? And they're doing psychological violence to young people. We also have another, I think, larger issue, because if you're not teaching Christianity in the school setting, if you're not teaching about Christianity in the wider historic context, right, or historical context, then what you're doing is antithetical to the process of education, because you're not teaching, you're not allowing kids to learn critical reasoning skills, right? And that's what school is supposed to be about.
And I see Zito is asking, what if they go to a Catholic school? Should they also not teach the Bible? Well, here's my thing. What'd you say, Chrissy?
Well, we answered that before. When you go to a church school, remember we had a whole show on that. When you go to church school,
well, my thing
is you're going to learn.
There shouldn't be church schools.
Well, there always going to be church schools. Hold on, let me be disgusting. How else is the Catholic Church going to atone for the evil that they've done?
No, she's asking you. Yeah, tell us how it should be handled then, Erin.
Oh, I was going to say, like, when I hear priests and people talk about their experiences in seminary, right? And when I hear Catholic theologians talk about their experiences in school, I think, wow, how fascinating this education is. Like, if we have church-based schools, they need to be teaching the kids what they teach the priests. Stop this plantation model education system. Because what you're doing is you're creating non-thinking, non-critical slaves. If that's what you're doing, I mean, if you run in a Catholic school, teach the children based on a curriculum, based on what priests are learning, right? Like if you injecting Christianity or Catholicism into their education.
Well, I don't agree with that one.
Yeah, me
I think church.
But that's from the point of being able to create students that have critical reasoning skills. You see what I'm saying? You find yourself a Catholic priest and ask him what he learned in seminary.
That's true.
Be surprised at the disparity between what they learn and what they preach.
Oh, that's interesting. I guess I'll have to do that, but I just don't think it should be church based schools. I think you should have church and you should have schools. They should be separate. You understand? If you wanna, I think a church school should be somewhere where you go, like if you already of age, you go to learn about, like you've already accepted this one and you want to learn more about that particular, denomination or whatever it is, then you go to learn about that. But as a basic school where they teach all the different English, math, all that as a school, I don't think there should be church-based school, because clearly they're going to teach what they believe. They believe what they believe already, and they're going to impose that on the students that attend that school. So I think that needs to be separate to avoid that, because it's going to happen.
Here's what I don't understand. I don't understand how people of differing denominations send their children to church school, right? So, like, I don't understand how Baptists send their children to Catholic school, right? Or like
Weird.
Catholic school.
Well, I can tell you why.
That creates a cognitive dissonance,
right?
In children.
But you know why, right, Erin? It's like it's sort of like what I'm faced with right now, right?
I don't subscribe.
Right, that is true, Chrissy. But I don't subscribe to any religion. However, what are my options as a parent who doesn't subscribe to any religion, where all of the schools are indoctrinating their students with their and that's what I'm about to say. There may be maybe 2 or 3 that aren't, and I would have to be making at least about $500,000 a year to put my child in the school.
Right. You go pay
so it's outpriced.
For that school.
I am outpriced. I have no choice at this time but to send my child to a school to be indoctrinated with the Christian belief. And so I think that's what other parents are faced with. Like, they may be Catholic, but they may like the Anglican school system and location and curriculum better. And so it's a better option to send their child to the Anglican school as opposed to the Catholic school. So these things come into play when it comes to sending your children to school. You know what I mean? So I think that's why that happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So on that note, let me wrap this one up. Erin, I appreciate you so much. Listen, I reached out to you and you answered right away. Say, yes, I am there. Send me your number. You are on board and I appreciate it. Like I said, I respect and admire you greatly because of what you contribute to society, everything you stand up for, and the contributions that you make. You are learned, highly educated, and you give out good information, good knowledge. And I appreciate you for taking the time to join us on this show with me and my ratchet friend, Chrissy, over here.
Balance to you.
To balance out our ratchetness for the day. We had a very calm, nice, informative show today. So I just want to say thank you.
It was
good to see you, Erin. Hear you.
We could talk about ideas like this.
Yes, ma'am. I mean, we need it. You know what I mean? It came out of desperation, because there aren't many forums where you could have these kinds of discussions, because it's very taboo to talk about these things. And so, somebody had to do it. It had to be me. So it was a necessity. And so, I decided to do it. And I want to thank people like Chrissy that continue to support and continue to help to push the message out there and get it out there for the people to intake, because like you say, we need these important discussions. So I just want to thank the two of you again for joining us. Chrissy, I love you always.
Welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thank
and
you.
Erin, we got to have you back to talk about some more stuff. I got some other issues I'd like your opinion on, because like I said, you just teach me plenty. You teach me about cognitive dissonance, and so I want to continue to learn. I'm always open to learn, and so we got to definitely have you back to discuss some more things. Hopefully, we could get a better internet connection next time so the people could see you. Love and tie it in.
Two things.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Chrissy. Thank you, Chrissy, very much. And look here, Jason Elwood Hanna, Bahamian martial artist and stuntman in Black Panther, and I feel like I can wear my dashiki every day until I go see him stunting in that movie.
I heard that. Well, I'll be there on the 15th. I can look for Jason.
She got one on right now, Chrissy. When we had her on the video earlier, she got her dashiki on ready. I asked her if she can go watch Black Panther. I thought she had an advance ticket. I said, you can go watch Black Panther now, eh?
It's starting on the 13th, I think.
Mine has arrived at my house, and I have to put on my domestic hat and go cook dinner.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you once again. We appreciate you. And as always,
man. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Chrissy.
No problem at all.
Good to talk to you. Keep pushing.
Yeah, man. Same here.
Not a problem. And thank you guys for watching. As always, we ask that you please share the video. If you want to support, that's free. You don't have to pay for that. Just hit that share button.
No, you still need to pay though.
Yeah, if you got money, you could go. Let's go undertherug.com. That's our website. You could go ahead and give a monetary donation if you are fortunate enough to be able to spare one little something. Because these things cost money. We got microphones, we got cameras, we got lights, we got internet. We got to pay for. These things cost money.
Pay to see what Kylie Jenner had. Pay for good Bahamian content.
Thank you. So, but we understand that it's also rough. The economy is rough. So if you don't, a share is just about as good because it gets the word out. It gets the audience. It gets the numbers up. And so if the numbers are high enough, then corporate America can't deny, and they have the sponsor because they want people to see their products because they want to make money. So hit the share button. Go and support. Go undertherug.com. We also ask that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just look for the Under the Rug podcast on YouTube. Also ask you to subscribe to Chrissy Love Live to the World on YouTube. You can search for that as well. Hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to Chrissy. Chrissy got over, how much you got? About 1,500 subscribers now. Child, we just scrapping 150. So please get us on Chrissy level. Let's get the subscriptions up.
You on my level. They just ain't clicking the button yet, but you on my level.
So please go ahead.
Thank you for changing the conversation in the country. I salute you.
We got to, man, because I tired of the same old conversation that ain't getting us nowhere.
Same old people, same old panel, same old conversation.
Yeah, that's why we're stuck in this place where we at now. We ain't advancing. So if it's going to take us to do it, then damn it, that's what we can do. Let's change the conversation.
I'll be praying for you. Greg, hold on. Can I quote the speaker? I'm glad you ain't no soft powder puff man.
Say what?
You gonna hear the speaker say he ain't no soft powder puff man?
I don't care about them niggas, man. They always running on with foolishness in the house. But anyhow, again, thank you. No, not around here. But then, thanks again, people. As I said earlier, we appreciate it. And until next week, peace out.